I remember that night on Polly's Island as if it were etched into my memory. The air was thick with an oppressive humidity that hinted at the storm brewing just beyond the horizon. The locals spoke of the Gray Man, a spectral figure said to forewarn of impending disasters, and as the evening wore on, an uneasy anticipation settled over the island. It was a quiet evening when I first saw him. The Gray Man appeared in the twilight, his figure shrouded in a pall of gray, as though he had been woven from the very mist and gloom that cloaked the island. His presence was almost a physical force, a heavy chill that cut through the warm, sultry air. He moved with an eerie grace, his form almost blending with the shadows of the encroaching storm. As the legend goes, the Gray Man is a sailor doomed by a storm, desperately trying to return to his family. In other stories, he's George Polly, the island's namesake, cursed to wander as a harbinger of calamity. Whether the sailor or George Polly, his story is one of tragic loss and foreboding. The Gray Man's gaze was distant, almost resigned, and though he rarely spoke, his silence was deafening. His mere presence seemed to command the winds to howl louder and the clouds to gather darker. In 1954, locals reported seeing him just before Hurricane Hazel struck, and in September 2018, as Hurricane Florence approached, his apparition appeared once more, sending residents fleeing in terror. That night, as the storm clouds gathered and the wind began to pick up, I stood on the shore, watching the Gray Man as he drifted along the edge of the beach. The sky was a tumultuous gray, mirroring his spectral attire, and the sea roared with an ominous fury. I could feel the island's tension, a palpable fear that the storm would bring the same devastation as the one foretold by the Gray Man's silent vigil. With each gust of wind and each distant rumble of thunder, the Gray Man seemed to grow more defined, his figure growing more solid as if he were drawing strength from the coming storm. His eyes, though sorrowful, held a depth of knowing that spoke of countless storms and tragedies. As the storm finally made landfall, the Gray Man's form seemed to fade into the tempest, a final, ghostly farewell to a night of impending doom. The winds howled and the rain battered the island, but the Gray Man was gone, leaving behind only the echoes of his silent warning and the storm's ferocious embrace. In the aftermath, when the skies cleared and the sun returned, the island was left to ponder the Gray Man's visit and the storm he had heralded. The legend of the Gray Man endures, a haunting reminder of the unseen forces that watch over the island, waiting for the next storm to rise.